Reason this is all a big deal is that the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, have a ton of other countries that want to join them. And I would think the BRICS nations are much further ahead in their adoption of digital assets for their new financial system that is going to be asset backed. So I've seen this clip everywhere, so I'm not going to spend 4 minutes playing this clip for you because you've probably seen it on somebody else's channel. I will link this clip below, but it basically is talking about the BRICS nations and what's going on currently. So you have places like Argentina and Brazil working on a common currency. They're not going to use the US dollar for trade. You have states in Africa working on a common currency. They're not going to use the US dollar. You had the president of Kenya come out and say something. I have the clip here in this, but I want to show you this first. Why this is powerful. It's not just 5 countries. It's not just Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. It's way more countries than that, and I'm going to show you right now. Andy Schectman is a very interesting person. He's got a lot of knowledge in the space. I just want to show you who he is. He's been the president and CEO of Miles Franklin Limited Precious Metals. So he's got some skin in the game. He knows what's happening. All right. And you know who this is, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. They've done 3 of these chats so far. This is the second one. And listen to how many countries this is involving, because nobody else is talking about this. And I've been talking about this for a long time, actually. So it's good to see people dipping their toes in the pool of the information about the BRICS nations, but I'm going to take this and supercharge it. You ready? Listen to this.
Because we go into the Belt and Road, we're going to lose a lot of people right now because that's a whole nother discussion. But what is a BRICS? What does it mean? Why do you think they're so important today? They're the most powerful force in the world today.
Well, and that's what I'm getting at with talking about the Belt Road. It is this coalition of countries standing up against the Western hegemony. And that's really what it is. It's not just Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
Listen to this.
You have well over a dozen countries that have already applied, such as Algeria and Argentina and Iran, the United Arab Emirates, Nicaragua, Turkey, Indonesia, Senegal, Nigeria, Afghanistan, Egypt, Kazakhstan, and the biggest one of all, Saudi Arabia, has formally applied to the BRICS nations. And so when you talk about this growing cohesion of countries, there are others that they're already set their eyes on. And in Brazil's backyard, you have Argentina. In Latin America, you have Nicaragua. In Central America, Algeria. You have Egypt, near South Africa, you have Algeria, Egypt, Iran, Saudi Arabia, as we just talked about, the United Arab Emirates, Nigeria, Senegal, Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, India, Indonesia, Thailand. All of these countries and their neighbors that are growing together are forming a massive, very imposing, not only from a GDP, but you put all these countries together and their military might is very strong as well. And they're talking, those are the BRICS plus. Now they're talking about adding more countries, including Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Panama, Bolivia, Chile, Cuba, Ecuador, Peru, Uruguay, Venezuela, Azerbaijan, Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Vietnam. The list goes on and on. And what is it?
So you can see it's not just 5 countries, guys. It's 30 or 40 countries that are going to come together. And this is exciting for crypto holders, certain crypto holders, let's say. This whole system is going to need a bridge asset to go in between different currencies, swap in and out as they do trade. I'll tell you, I feel like I know what currency this is going to be, but I'll leave it up to you to decide. It's got to be ISO compliant. It probably will have to have a private ledger, and it needs to be some type of bridge asset. So you go figure out what that is. If you've watched my channel enough, you already know what it is, but let's keep going. All right, this is Fareed Zakaria. This was just last weekend, and this is starting to reach mainstream news. And so let me play this. I'll play a piece of it.
The most interesting outcome of the 3-day summit between Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping got limited media attention. Describing their talks, Putin said, "We are in favor of using the Chinese yuan for settlements between Russia and the countries of Asia, Africa, and Latin America." So, the world's second largest economy and its largest energy exporter are together actively trying to dent the dollar's dominance as the anchor of the international financial system. Will they succeed? The dollar is America's last surviving superpower. It gives Washington unrivaled economic and political muscle. It can slap sanctions on countries unilaterally, which frees that country out of large parts of the world economy.
And that is what happened. That is why all of these countries are lining up to join BRICS. When the US basically went in and froze Russia's accounts, billions and billions of dollars, that set off alarm bells to all of these other countries. That means, hey, if we do something that the West doesn't like, they'll freeze us out of all of our money. And the problem with this is that a lot of these other nations, these BRICS nations, they end up buying a lot of US debt, right? And China is the #1 purchaser of US debt. So if they all stop buying US debt or dealing trade or exporting, importing in the US dollar, if they stop that, the NATO alliance is like 770 million people. The BRICS countries by themselves, in a couple of these countries, is 3.3 billion people. So you can see there's a massive difference in kind of who is going to be using these new currencies that they're going to create for this new digital system, and who's going to still keep using the dollar. And it's looking like the BRICS nations with all of their BRICS Plus partnerships are going to be massive, and that's going to be huge for certain cryptos.
And Washington can spend freely, certain that its debt will be bought up by the rest of the world.
There you go.
The war against Ukraine, combined with Washington's increasingly confrontational approach to China, have created a perfect storm in which both Russia and China are accelerating efforts to diversify away from the dollar. Their central banks are keeping less of their reserves in dollars, and most trade between them is being settled in the yuan. They are also making efforts to get other countries to follow suit. The Biden administration has handled the economic war against Russia extremely effectively by building a coalition of almost all the world's advanced economies. That makes it hard to escape from the dollar into other highly valued stable currencies like the euro or the pound or the Canadian dollar, because those countries are also warring with Russia. What might have been a sharper turning point for the dollar's role was Donald Trump's decision in May 2018 to pull out of the Iran nuclear deal. The European Union was strenuously opposed to this move, but it watched as the dollar's dominance meant that Iran was immediately excluded from the world economy. Jean-Claude Juncker, then president of the European Commission, proposed enhancing the euro's role internationally to shield the continent from what he called selfish unilateralism. The Commission outlined a path to achieve this. It hasn't happened. There remain too many fundamental doubts about the future of the euro itself. Dollar dominance is firmly entrenched for many good reasons. A globalized economy needs a single currency for ease and efficiency.
80% of US trade is settled in the US dollar. That is an enormous amount. When all of these other countries stop using the US dollar to do this stuff, that is going to go way, way down. And if that does, it'll lead to hyperinflation in the US. If you thought 6, 7, 8, 10% inflation was bad, if this really goes down how we think it might go down, it's going to be a whole lot worse. It's going to be a whole lot worse. Also, too, let me just show you this. This is more of a fringy pick. You can actually look this one up. This guy thinks in the next 2 weeks or whatever, it's just everything's going to lead. But let me play a little bit of this and then we'll finish.
More than 50% of that money was tech related, but
he's talking about SVB.
The biggest parts of it were
he's talking about Silicon Valley Bank.
Deep state cabal. That was the shot across the bow to let everybody know it started. Now, what's the event that triggers the EBS and the stock market crash? And that is what's already been announced. Saudi Arabia has gone into BRICS with the BRICS nations. There's actually 109 countries that have already signed on, but they have
109 might be a little high number. I've tried to verify that actual figure. I couldn't find anything to back up that exact number, but it is pretty high. I've been able to verify 40 to 50 countries, but not 109.
That yet has been made public. We no longer have the petrodollar, which
True.
was something the cabal set up where you couldn't trade oil without running it through the dollar.
That's true.
So Saudi doesn't have that issue anymore. Nobody does. And that triggers an immediate redemption of $2 trillion of U.S. Treasury bonds coming back to the United States. That in itself is game over. Turn off the lights, stock market crashes, and we go emergency broadcasting announcement.
All right, the rest of it's a little paranoid. If you want to check it out, it's Philly 0812, and you can check out that clip. But this is a really good clip. I want to play this clip for you, and then I have two more things I want to show you, then we'll end. But this is all about the same topic, okay?
Everybody had a great weekend, and welcome back to the circus. With Saudi Arabia announcing it will price oil in Chinese yuan, there was a lot of worry over the weekend about reserve currency status. The fact that the US dollar has been the dominant global currency for 70 years, but looks like it could now lose that status. Even CNN is worried in a rare display of situational awareness, and Fox fretted about Weimar, in other words, hyperinflation. So reserve currency status looks awesome. After all, you get to print stacks of green paper, and foreigners give you cool stuff for them: toasters, luxury cars, copper mines. The problem is, who does that profit go to? Who gets paid when foreigners crave the green paper? Unfortunately, it's not you. It's not dollar holders. It's whomever is printing the money.
Treasury,
in
Fed.
practice, the Fed,
Yep.
to whom, which means the Treasury benefits, and you guessed it, Wall Street, commercial banks. To see why, imagine if foreigners didn't want dollars. The Fed and the banks could only print a little bit, since printing a lot would create inflation and voters would get really angry. But if foreigners do want crap loads of dollars, the Fed and the banks can print a matching crap load. It's like a river flowing into the money-supplied reservoir, matched up with a river flowing out to foreigners. The reservoir stays stable and voters don't riot. But notice where the profits went. That river to foreigners didn't go to we, the dollar holders. We are the reservoir. We are unchanged. The profits went straight through us to the source of the river, the U.S. Treasury and Wall Street. So, like pretty much everything in our crony financial system, it's a hustle. The American people think they're benefiting from reserve status, but the profits were sucked out and handed to the people who designed the institutional fleecing we call financial system. Now, here's the problem. Here's where Weimar comes in. What if foreigners suddenly don't want dollars? Maybe China's paying them to sell oil in yuan, or maybe the Fed lost the plot and creates too much inflation. That demand, that river flowing out to the foreigners, dries up. In fact, it reverses. The dollar starts to lose value. Foreigners worry their life savings and corporate treasuries are melting. They sell out of the dollar. Not only does the river reverse, it goes faster and faster back into the reservoir. The dollar collapses. 70 years of Fed and Wall Street money creation, 70 years of the river flowing into the reservoir. Now you've got all of that coming back in the reservoir. It is like a tsunami running up a canyon, and we, the dollar holders, get absolutely wrecked. We are, after all, the only ones in the world who are obligated to use the dollar.
True.
We're talking double-digit inflation over multiple years at an absolute minimum. Bottom line, if they screw this up, 70 years of reserve currency status could end up biting us. It could end up to have been a trap. And
It's a trap. I always think of Star Wars when it says that. It's a trap. And then here is, this is pretty funny, right? The future of fiat, right? Is toilet paper. This is the president of Kenya. This is a 21-second clip, and this is what we're going to end on. Listen to what he says here.
The people who work numbers, I am giving you free advice that those of you who are holding dollars, you surely might go into losses. You better do what you must do, because this market is going to be different in a couple of weeks.
This market is going to be different in a couple of weeks. It's a serious time, guys, and I've been talking about this in the crypto community for over a year now. I knew this was coming. It's here in 2023. We're already dealing with inflation. The Fed's QE is printing money for the banks right now. We're in serious trouble. The Fed's at two different lanes, right? And this is not even including all the outside drama. The Fed can start printing money again and bail out all the banks. The banks are down basically $1 to $2 trillion. Regional banks and the big guys because of the bond market. Right? And that's another video. They either have to raise rates even higher, which will put more stress on the current banking system, or they're going to have to drop rates and start printing money. And if inflation's already at 6% and they start printing money, we're just going to head higher. And if all of this happens, the president of Kenya says, the market is going to be very different in a couple of weeks. And if you have US dollars, be prepared. It's not looking good for the United States and anybody holding US dollars. Obviously, I am not a financial advisor. If you saw this and this worried you, I would recommend speaking to your financial advisor, and hopefully they have a better handle on what you can do to make sure that maybe you take less of a hit if this actually happens. Personally, myself, crypto gold, silver, and regular gold, those are pretty much hedges against what is happening right here. Not your meme coins, not something without a use case, but I'm talking about legitimacy, XRP, XDC, Quant, XLM. That is the type of cryptocurrencies that are going to be powering this new financial system, and that is what we should be holding for the long run. That is what I recommend myself. And like I said, I'm not a financial advisor, but that is what I tell my friends and family that ask me, friend to friend or family to family, just for my opinion. It's an interesting time, guys. I'll be here through it with you, and I will bring you updates on what's all this stuff is happening. I wish you a great day and stay safe. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe and share with somebody you know. There's a lot of stuff happening, and it is a very interesting time. It's exciting on one hand, but it's very scary, right? It's exciting because I own all these cryptos, and I think these cryptos are going to go up in value as they're used in this new system. But for everybody else that doesn't hold cryptocurrency, what are you doing as a hedge against what's happening around the world? If you're not doing anything, you might want to come up with a plan. I'll see you guys next time.